Oh, why hello there. I didn't even see you come in. What's up, you handsome scallywags? How we doing, boys?
Living the
Good.
dream, brother.
Good to be here.
I like it. I like it. Well, in case you did not know, no, this is not our book study class. This is the Clashing Conferences College Edition. What? Get out of here. Look at I'm totally ready for college, right? Let's look at my. Anyways, so with that said, let me put my books away. You boys ready for some college or what?
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
I
still
gotta
living on a
say,
high.
you guys killed it last week, by the way. Shout out to Tony and Topher for coming in off the bench and coming in and saving the day because they absolutely killed it. You guys had a fantastic episode. But I have to ask, Anthony, are you a two-way Tony or what? Are you like Anthony? You like Tony? Are you a Tony Tinkerbell? What are we going by today?
Oh, you phrased it better than Tony P or Topher, whoever said it. I do either one works. If Tony
Okay,
P's not here, you can call me Tony if that works. But
excellent.
when he's
That's a
here, you can
very
call me.
that's a very college thing going both ways. We understand how it goes.
It's okay.
Two-way Tony. All right, boys, I'm going to let you guys rip and run because we got this little hybrid version of the episode where you're going to do most of the talking in a short amount of time. So with that said, let me go ahead and tell everybody real quick all the important things that they need to know because they got to know this stuff, right? So let's start off with, let's see if you boys have been studying for the quiz. Boys, what do we like to refer to ourselves as if we're not the Clashing Conferences podcast?
A sports fan network.
Thank you. Ooh, Patty's been doing his homework. Okay. Can it be a network for the fans of sports?
I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah,
If it's
it
in the
sounds
commercial,
good.
it
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But we're a sports fan network first. So this is our members group. Just so everybody knows, we had, again, people reaching out to us. This is how this group came to be. So with that said, if you'd like to join us, come and join us by all means. We have what? 13 reps now across 7 states? No? Yes?
Growing.
Anybody? No?
Growing. Yeah, I think it's 13. Yeah. Pretty
Don't
sure that's
don't
the
ask
number.
Cody too much math. His brain starts firing. All the brain cells start banging off like it's pong in his head. Don't get him going too hard.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I'm not a good math person over here. I'm from Kentucky.
Also, we have to give a super big shout out to our sponsor, Sparrow Hair Studio, located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. If ever you are in the area and you need a nice, clean cut, go see Lean, it'll take care of you. But again, our first sponsor, hopefully the first of many. So, gotta say, awesome, very cool. So again, Sparrow Hair Studio, go check them out if you are in Lancaster or in that area. I will be in a couple of months. I'll be definitely popping by there. And last but not least, come support us on Patreon. Come on. You already got subscriptions to things you don't even know what you pay for. Why not come and show us some love? We're like the little rascals. We need your money, but we'll be good. We'll put it to use. We'll go recruit more people. That's what we do. I heard
It's
we're
like
popping
NIL
on
money.
socials, by the way. We're popping on TikTok. Is that true?
Where I
Believe
found you.
so.
Okay. Might have to get TikTok.
Yeah, you
course you
probably
can.
do.
It's okay. It took the rest of our network like a month for me being in there to be like, until one day Steve was like, "Oh, you're Coach B on TikTok." I was like, "Yeah, that's where I found you."
All right, boys. Enough about me. Let's hear from you. I heard Duke lost to Kentucky. Somebody
Oh,
want to tell me
yes,
about
they
it?
did. Oh, it was the
Heck
greatest thing.
yeah.
It is the greatest thing. I am
Tony,
still living on a high.
I feel like a Kentucky fan right now. I feel like you. I feel happier. We
Oh,
lost this week. We lost to
and they
Kansas, and I actually feel happy.
and they said, "Oh, Cooper Flagg going to come out and murder you." Oh, the number one recruiting class. Where? 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 I didn't see it. Cooper Flagg's a great basketball player, but maturity goes a lot longer ways than just a star freshman. Obviously, look at Cal's record. We
I'm
whooped
sure
their
nothing
ass.
that Cody said will come back to haunt him in about, what is it, November, in about 4 months. I'm sure none of those things about Cooper Flagg will have any say in March. But as someone who had no stake in the game, not UNC, it was a good game. I think the thing with Flagg that interests me is like, is he going to be the next villain guy on Duke, or
I
is
think
he
so.
gonna be, because he's kind of like this all American good boy, and I like that about him. But there's something about being the guy on Duke, whether it was Leitner or Kyle Singler or Reddick or any of those, even what's his face over the last couple of years, Flip. Like,
Grayson
there's
Allen.
just,
Oh, Filipowski.
yeah, that's what interests me about Flag is like I think he's gonna get a little bit of that nasty side to him as the year goes on.
You
Well,
could have
he's
said all
super
those
vocal.
names without saying Leitner. You could have said all those names without saying that. Just ruined the high that I was on.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I love good basketball early in the year because it's great for resume builders as far as March goes and out of conference goes, especially when you get SEC, ACC battles like this. So, I mean, Cody would know more about the ins and outs of like who was active that wasn't Cooper Flag and who were kind of like the scorers as far as that go. But it was good to see a game that was out of conference from them, especially with a new coach in Pope going there and taking care of business. Like that was huge for them.
I don't know how to say the guy's last name. He's the dude, the other freshman that came in with Flag, um, Canoopel, something like that. He was supposed to go off, but what I think we kept him to like 17% from threes all the whole game. So I'll take that because that was one thing that they were supposed to come out and do and just stuff threes down our throat, and they did not. So we
Is
burned
that
couches
what
in Lexington.
is college turning into the pros now though too? Is it just because obviously they're closer with their threes,
Not
so is
not
everybody just chucking up threes now?
not unless you're a
Yeah,
team like Oakland where you have Jack Goldkey, where he kind of does everything. But I mean, I know as a fan of University of Richmond, they don't shoot very many threes, and they win a decent amount of games each year. It kind of just has to do with your offense and who you have.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just think of like a team like, obviously, I know Tony Bennett retired, but like Virginia winning a national championship in like 2019, like their whole philosophy is literally hold the ball for 28 seconds, take a good shot, and play defense. And that is literally like their whole, like, you're going to see a team in the tournament
yep.
that just will slow you down and suck the life out of you. And that's, I think, is one of the bonuses to college basketball. It's not my type of college basketball, but if your strength is defense and post play, then there's going to be teams that do that. But then there's going to be teams like Tennessee and Auburn last year. I don't know much about them this year, but like those two teams last year, they'll run up and down the gym and they'll take like Bama was averaging what 102 a game last year
Yeah.
going into the tournament or something like
Yeah, it was
that.
something
Yep.
ridiculous.
They were
Like,
running and gunning.
so I think that's what makes college sports a little bit different, in football and basketball is that like the way you recruit is going to play your style of basketball, and it kind of keeps things even because especially come tourney time, you're going to get a team like with these mid majors, you're going to get a team that's the 12th fastest pace in college basketball, and they're going to play the team that is the number 10 rated defense because they slow everything down. So that's definitely something that just adds another factor to college basketball, which is great and obviously what we're talking about.
Can
I
someone
agree.
explain to me why though? Like I don't understand. There's the component of if you got college football, it's 100 yards. The dimensions are the same. We kind of talked about this with baseball. You go to college basketball, it's like okay, we're gonna make the 3-point line closer. We're gonna give you a longer shot clock. We're gonna have a consolidated season. Does that help these guys when they're going pro?
I don't think so. But then
Not
again,
really.
nah. If anything,
But I
no.
think the product is where you're looking at the difference. I don't think it's the players. I don't think it's that the 3-point line is closer. I don't think it's those things. I think the thing that you have to look at is that the product of the NBA is built around scoring and built around shooting and all like obviously Steph Curry changed the game in the NBA as far as shooting from deep and everything like that. And there are pure 3-point shooters that come out. But the college game, you know, I don't want to sound like snotty because I don't think this way, but I think like the college game is still built for the quote unquote basketball purist. Pick and roll, catch and
Yep.
shoot, work off the ball, play hard defense. Like those things aren't really relevant in today's NBA. Not that they're non existent, but they're not what sells the NBA product.
I agree.
Whereas a lot of people watch the college product because, there's some old or they've learned from their grandfather, this is how you play basketball, and there's only one way to play basketball, and this is how we're going to do it. And that's the college game, whether for better or worse. is that.
I just wonder, like Anthony, as a fellow college student like myself, I just kind of wonder if these guys are getting, 30, 40 games in their college season, then they go pro, they're playing 80 to possibly 100, and I don't know, but I feel like it's like quarterback play in the NFL. There's such a stark drop off now with young guys in the NBA and injuries, and I just think that they're not conditioning these guys properly from when they go to the next level. And you're
Well,
seeing it with, I mean, look at Zion. Look at all these guys. It's like,
well,
even Kyrie, he got a championship, but he barely played when he was at Duke, and his career up until recently has just been nothing but injuries. So it's like, I'm noticing that a lot of the wave of the next superstars, they didn't really do a lot in college. And then if they did, it was a one and done. Then they go to the pros and they're falling out left and right.
Well, a bunch of them come off March Madness, which is kind of some stupid crap. I mean, you play as the amount of games, you play so many games in that month, then you go right to the NBA, to the hardest competition, to the hardest coaches, to all this practice that you've never done. It's going to kill you. And I kind of agree. I get what you're saying, that the season, it kind of doesn't match up because you're playing so many more games. It's all different. But again, are you going to make a college student play 70 games? What kind of season are you going to make for that? Because I just saw a report, they might make March Madness even bigger, 74 to 72 teams. That would be crazy. That's even more
That'd be
players for the
insane.
pool. That's more players for the draft and more, again, like you said, to get hurt for no apparent reason.
I'm not saying this is the whole reason too, though, Matt, is that in my opinion, this isn't definitely the whole reason, but think about how many miles these basketball players are putting on their body before they get college, especially in today's youth sports specialists. Like when you were younger, when we grew up, even if you were the best hooper at your school, you either took a season off or you played another sport or you were doing something different for your body. A lot of these, like Cooper Flagg, I'll take him for instance. Cooper Flagg has been playing USA, AAU, or high level basketball since he was 12 years old. So he's been playing 365 days a year for the last 8, 9 years already. And now you're going to go to the NBA game, which is another workload on top of that. I'm not saying it's the only factor, but I definitely think that comes into play as well.
As a benefit or hurting? Because I think it hurts most, but in his case, I think it's
I think
helping.
it hurts the miles on your body, but it's also there's pros and cons. There's if you're the best of the best, it's going to help you because you have 10,000 hours of practice.
Yeah.
If you're not the best of the best and you're going to Sam Houston State and you've been playing AAU your whole life and you do this or that, then you might be in trouble because of it. So there's definitely pros and cons to it. But I think the mileage of these kids when they get to the pros, unlike other sports, is already because basketball is an inside. You can play basketball any season of the year. It's not
Yep.
like if you're an elite football player, sure, maybe you're doing 7-on-7s or whatever, but you're not really playing football 365 days a year and then going pro. Basketball and even baseball, you're doing these things all the time before you even get to college.
Yeah.
Then
I
you got
think for
some of them
me,
parents that just push, push, push to make you play that 365. And then when they're there, they're just already burnt out or wore out. And then it's game over for them.
another thing to think about is a bunch of college coaches. I know Hubert Davis did this with UNC, I think last year. Our entire starting lineup was playing 35 to 40 minutes a game, which is unreal. We didn't have a bench. We played maybe 1 to 2 guys, and it was a celebration when one of them would get in. They were playing so many minutes then, and then, like I said, March Madness on top of that. And like Patty said, it's the same thing. It's just not all wear and tear, almost like college football.
Well, especially it's hard to build a bench in college basketball now in the portal. I love the portal. I think it's one of the best things to happen to college sports, in my opinion.
Yep.
But it's hard to know who your 6th, 7th, 8th guy are going to be if they haven't been in your program for more than 4 months. Not even at that point when you get to 3 months on campus at that point, probably if they didn't transfer in the spring, they transferred in the fall. So a lot of the depth that you thought that you had the year before isn't the same guys. So especially early in the year, you're going to lean on your starters pretty heavily, And then in March, you lose one game and you're out, so you have to do the same thing. So there's maybe a 1 month gap in late December, early January where you're not playing guys 35, 40 minutes like Anthony said.
Yep. I grew up in a different era, though, boys. We all know that. I grew up when, a lot of these guys did 4 years, and you had starting fives that came back, and it was like, oh man, here we go. So now, yeah, trying to keep up with the rotation and the portal and one and dones, it's definitely different. Let's put it that way.
Cody, what do you think you guys are going to be ranked next week after the win?
I'd
Or
say
is it,
15. I'd say 15 or top 15.
were you guys 23 before? Correct?
No, we're 19 now. We're
Oh, okay.
19.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the new one. Yeah, okay.
I'd say top 15. It has to be.
Okay.
It has
Well,
to.
I mean, where do you think Duke goes? Because I hope it's, we can just drop out of the top 25 if we really want to. I'm just putting that out there.
No, I wouldn't drop. I don't think I'd drop him out of the top. If anything, I'd go 10. I'd put
Cody,
them 10 and
you got to help fuel my Duke hatred. Come on. You just beat them.
Kick these bums out. How about that? Let's go, Anthony.
Come on.
if I'm
You
I
being
got the UNC on tonight. Come on, talk to me. What about Tar Heels? What are we doing?
Dude, they lost to Kansas in probably the closest game that I've seen in a while that we probably
that was a great
shouldn't
game.
have shouldn't have been in, but should have been in. The Kansas completely blew it, but at the same time, we were really just playing efficient basketball. They weren't turning the ball over; they just couldn't make anything. And I mean, I don't even know how we almost got there because R.J. Davis looked horrible. He shot a super low percentage, like 6 of 15. I could do better than that. We have a guy that's supposed to be defense averaging the most points for us, and Seth Trimble. Makes no sense. I love it, but I don't know. We looked great though. I'm excited. We only dropped one
Anthony,
in the rankings.
is the kid 55 that played opposite of Davis back this year? I don't remember his name. Harrison Ingram, was that his name? Is
No,
he back
he's
for
on.
them this year?
No, he's on the Spurs.
All right. I wasn't sure if he was a senior last year or not because
We
he played
we got
good complimentary ball.
we
I'd say
got
that first.
we got Jalen Washington, and we have I forgot his first name, but Withers back. So we have two other bigs that we already had. But again, I mean, I don't even know how we competed with Hunter Dickinson. I don't know how we didn't score literally every point.
That was the
Um,
most insane thing I've ever saw. What was it like? How many minutes with like literally no score? I was watching.
dude,
It
it
was
was
just back and forth. It was just nobody hitting. I was like, "Am I watching a
at a
practice
point
or am I watching a game?"
you got to take the lids off. Somebody put the lids on. We got to take it off. Like it was
That was
ridiculous. But
insane.
I mean,
That was the
I
craziest thing I've seen.
losing by 2 or 3 to the number one team in the second game of the season with virtually a whole new team. I'm pretty happy.
I would be
So
happy. And that's what I said about if we would have lost to Duke. If we go out there and fight and actually show something, I'm okay to lose. Honestly, as bad as that, I was okay. We got a whole new team, literally no returners. If we go out there
yeah,
and
and a coach, and a
lose,
whole new coach. You
yeah,
got a whole new
yeah.
system, and it
If
still
we went
beat
out
you.
there and lost by 10, I'd been like, okay, at least we showed up. We got some type of promising season in front of us.
Patty, what about Notre Dame?
They beat who was it last night? Somebody weird, Wagner or Howard or Niagara, somebody like that last night.
Mid-major basketball. Let's go.
Somebody
Viagra.
strange they beat. But they again, I think I talked about this on our practice pod, but they're just like one of those teams where like when they play out of conference, you never know what you're going to get. And then when they play in the ACC, like they'll play Duke once and lose by 20, and then they'll play Duke the second time and win by 4, and you're like, how the hell is this the same team
That's
that
what I
I
hate about y'all. Y'all gotta stop doing
watched?
that.
Like, but I mean, this is year 2 with oh my god, I'm gonna get roasted for this, but I can't think of the guy that took over from Mike Bray. But he this is year 2 for him or year 3 for him. So I mean, things are looking better than they were over the last 2 years. So I'm excited. I'll get a little bit more into them in uh in conference play. I've been a little locked in on obviously Notre Dame football with the playoff rankings coming out and everything like that. So I'll say that's where a lot of my focus has lied over the last couple weeks.
Y'all are in that, right? Right? Y'all are in the
Yeah, as of
playoffs?
right
Yeah.
now, I mean, I understand the argument for some people that are going to say they should be out with the NIU loss, and I understand that. But a lot of the argument is right now, so I want to say at least 6. There could be a 7th SEC team with 2 losses. So it's going to be hard to keep all of them out. You know, you're going to put in at least 3, probably a 4th SEC team. So here's the argument that I've been hearing is that, oh, well, a lot of these SEC teams have ranked wins, like Georgia has a ranked. Georgia's probably not going to make the SEC championship, but they beat Texas, they beat LSU, and then they lost to two other. So we're holding ranked opponents in high regard. But then anytime anyone speaks about Notre Dame, they don't say that they went into Kyle Field and won against number 10 Texas A&M, who's probably going to make the playoff now. They don't talk about they went to Louisville and won, who was ranked at the time. They beat Navy, who was ranked at the time, and they'll probably have to go through a ranked Army in order to get there. Now, if they get in, I'll be happy. If they don't get in, I understand the reasoning, but I don't like the back and forth reasoning of, oh, we want to focus on ranked opponent victories as something that we're focusing on, but then they throw that out when it comes to talking about Notre Dame.
Can
And
we
I
all
don't
agree
see.
that the college ranking system is the dumbest thing that has ever
Yep.
been
Oh,
created?
it's so bad. It's
Yeah.
god
So
awful.
It's horrible.
I don't,
Eh,
Patty. I
I
hear
don't.
you. You got to join a conference. That's really the only thing. But every single year, even with the 4-team format, y'all get so disrespected. You guys are like every year go into it. Like you said, you just named off all those teams. A&M is probably the big one. Going into there and beating them is just unreal, and no one wants to talk about it because of was it Northern Illinois?
Yeah, the thing is, too, is like, I get it. I try to look at Notre Dame, subjectively from the point of like anytime they've gotten let in, like, okay, we Notre Dame in the national championship against Alabama and lost. Anyone in the country would have lost Alabama. I get it. Notre Dame looked bad in 2015 or whatever it was. And then they got in the college football playoff one more time. Like, I understand the past, but with this 12-team format, if they're like, I just don't see a way the committee can justify letting in a 2 or 3 loss team if Notre Dame has one loss but has 5 ranked victories.
Yeah.
Don't they
So
always?
we'll see.
I see y'all as the I'm a TCU fan for football. I was a little bit when they were good. So when they made the championship, I kind of think y'all are the same, where you guys are good enough to beat probably anybody else other than the school that has all the 5 stars and all the 4 stars. Because TCU, I think we had 2 5 stars, and we played Georgia, who had like 15 or 20, maybe probably even more. So it's the same thing that y'all when you're talking about the Bama one. Just because y'all looked bad, you guys made it there and you got disrespected the whole way.
Yeah.
So even with this 12-team playoff, I'm hoping y'all will not slip in, but like kind of quietly get in and make
No,
a little run.
it's definitely interesting because I think what it's really going to come down to is, some of these teams in the Big Ten don't play each other and the ACC don't play each other. So it's interesting for like, okay, the only like quote unquote big game left in the Big Ten is going to be Indiana, Ohio State, which I believe is this Saturday. Obviously, if Ohio State wins, they'll go play Oregon in the Big Ten championship, which basically ensures that they both get in no matter what. Either they both get in at 1 loss, or Oregon goes undefeated, and they'll probably let OSU in at 2 losses, even if they're against the number 1 team in the country. But if Indiana can go and beat Ohio State this weekend, that makes things super interesting because you're not going to hold out 1 loss Indiana, even if they lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship. Then you have the ACC where you're going to get SMU, Miami, but if you get Clemson at 2 losses and Miami at 1 loss, SMU's 1 loss is to a ranked opponent. I forget who it was. It's out of conference ranked opponent. So there's just so many dominoes that are going to fall over the next 2 weeks. I think the 12-team playoff is super duper interesting. And obviously, we don't know how the committee is going to value conference play. Do they are like? Can we really be mad if whoever wins the ACC? Let's say Miami wins the ACC and they keep out 1 loss SMU because they put in 2 loss LSU or Ole Miss or Tennessee from the SEC. So I think we just don't know what the committee's going to think until it happens.
It's Florida State all over again from last year. It's
I think
literally just
Army's
that
getting disrespected.
Army.
Yeah, I feel like they should be in there.
It's the
I love
American
They'll
that.
way.
probably be they can be the 12 if they win the American,
That's
but
what I'm
they
saying.
have
Like you
to.
got Ole Miss in there, and they lost to us, and we're horrible.
But they're probably not going to get it. I just don't see Army getting in at 1 loss. Let's say they lose to Notre Dame and then they win the American. I'm probably putting Boise State in out if they win the Mountain West as the 12, not Army with 1 loss out of the American.
It would be so
But
I can
it's
awesome
see.
if Army was in there. If Army was there, it'd be so awesome. They'd run the ball literally every single play.
It would be cool just to see them in there. You know what I mean?
Did
Like,
yeah.
y'all see what they did? Y'all see what they did last week? They have 21 plays, or 21 plays for like 13 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and
94 yards and a touchdown.
North Texas averages 42 points a game, and they beat
Yeah,
them
and they scored 3.
21-6 or whatever.
It was
Yeah,
14-3. Like
yeah,
they used an entire quarter for one drive. I
yeah,
want to see that on the national stage.
yeah. The only thing that is interesting, I agree. I would love to see a military academy go. The only thing, I don't know if you guys know this, but traditionally, why those teams don't hold up in the national rankings is because there's a weight limit for like being in the armed services. So a lot of their linemen have to be under, I don't know if the number is 250 or 260. So when they play like a team like Notre Dame that has a 6'1", 330-pound nose tackle, like it's
Yeah,
hard to run the ball because of that. So they've definitely evolved their game. I mean, having Navy and Army both ranked this year was awesome. Like awesome for college, awesome for running football. And Navy's been one of the best offenses in the country to watch, in my opinion.
they've been great too. It's Navy Army this year. That's what I wish they both. I wish Navy wouldn't keep losing, because if they could somehow play each other again after the last game that they
Yeah.
play each other, that'd be unreal. I feel like.
So it'd actually be the opposite. So it would be the Army Navy is like the 14th of December, but the conference championships are the week before. So if they were both in the
Oh
conference
yeah,
championship, they would play the 7th, and then they would play again the 14th for
yeah.
Army Navy.
I'm gonna need that.
That would
I'd
be
like to
crazy.
point out that Tony P came on here talking about how crappy his Wisconsin teams are. This guy was in the Navy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Seaman
Fine,
I'm
screw
surprised
out
he
of
doesn't
them.
support him.
Seaman
Yeah,
Pflugerich could have been talking about his alma mater. He could have put on a sailor outfit and been dancing around. Instead, he wants to talk about these cheese-eating badgers or whatever they are. To get out of here. So, Tony, you're going to have to come on next week and either renounce your rights or jump on board this Navy boat. So,
I'd definitely go on a Navy boat before Wisconsin. Their claim to fame is beating us. So
boys, we don't have an hour to play with. But I do have a question for you. Does anybody know what time it is?
Mad Libs.
8:35.
Mad Libs.
Ooh, damn, Patty. 2 for 2. It
he's going
is,
off.
ladies and gentlemen, the Clashing Conferences institution that is Matt Libs is back. Content manager, if you will, please, cue the music. Oh, this one. That's going to come back and haunt somebody. No, they're quick. They're quick. Easy one goes bye-bye. And we're back. And I'm sorry, I'm Italian and I use my hands. But I'm not that sorry. So, Patty. It could be overarching. It could be any sport, but give me your most overrated Notre Dame player, game, or play. Like, what's one where you're like, oh, shut up. Enough.
Most overrated play. I will say that I think that the most overrated player. Are you ready for this? You're going to get upset because I've outsmarted the Matt Libs. The most overrated player in Notre Dame history is Rudy Rudebaker. He was offsides, baby.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, yeah.
He was offsides. Let's call it what it is. He was offsides.
He's going to die in an Oklahoma drill. Let's be real. There's
Yeah,
no way on this
exactly.
planet. We're going to pick him up and throw him through the uprights. No way. Good answer. Okay.
That's an awesome answer.
That was great.
Studied for his test. Oh, my Lanta.
He's killing
All right.
it. He's making us all look bad.
Cody. So I got one of my best buddies, Boot Shaloop. He is from Kentucky, so I am a little versed on that UK lifestyle. But with that said, if I were to come down to UK, and I might, you never know, but if I were to come to UK and we were going to hit the town, where are we going for grub, and what are you buying for the table?
We're going to the KSR bar. And if you don't know what KSR bar, it's Kentucky Sports Radio. It is pretty much like this, but it is the top tier Kentucky basketball podcast radio show ever. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but they have their own bar. They have their own podcast section there that they come and record every day.
Ooh.
They bring basketball players in, football players, interview, you get to meet them, coaches, whatever. And then probably in true Kentucky fashion, we'd probably order a Busch Light and probably some bourbon of some sort.
I meant food, but okay, we go.
Oh, well, it fills you up just the same.
We're in college. We can't spend money on food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
What are
eating.
you talking
Okay,
about?
fair. Sorry. Yes, I should know that, Anthony, as a fellow college student. Listen,
Yeah, come
I'd
on.
be happy to let you know, I spent about 17 years in college. I'm not Tommy Boy, and I don't have a doctorate either, but here we are. So
The question is, are you having
yummy.
fun with it?
I did
That's the
when I
main
was there. And Anthony, last but not least, you better have a good answer because your dad is a Rolodex of sports knowledge. So give me your favorite obscure or random UNC player in Tar Heel history basketball. I'll give you mine. Joe Forte. Love Joe Forte. He had the smoothest game. Then he got drafted by the Celtics. It was like too good to be true. And then he kind of flamed out. But Joseph Forte, great UNC player. Oh,
Hmm. I don't. Oh, I got to think about that.
who the
Most ran. Well,
Ed
I'll give you.
Toga?
Can I give you two? Because I have a reason for both. I got two. First one is Theo Pinson because he wasn't anything really insane at UNC. He's the short guard, and then he goes to the Knicks, and you know what he does? He sits on our bench, and he was a cheerleader, and that's what I did in high school when I was on lacrosse. So I feel for him, and he had a great time. So that's my kind of player. Second player is Leaky Black from a few years ago. My friend actually ordered me a Brady Manick jersey from UNC, if anybody remembers him. It came as a Leaky Black jersey. And because it is knockoff, the Jordan logo has fingers, has shoelaces, and has a butt cheek.
Oh
So
my God.
I think that jersey solidifies him in my Hall of Fame.
Do you still
It's
wear it?
awesome.
Is awesome.
I don't have it with me here. It's back at home, but I will bring it and I will wear it because I wore it
Yes.
to the only sporting event I've wore it to is a DC United soccer game. So it hasn't really been out much.
Okay.
But those are my
Okay.
two guys, Theo Pinson and Leaky Black.
I like it. I like it. Oh, and Neil Fingleton, because of his name, and he was up here from Massachusetts. But Neil Fingleton, ladies and gentlemen, look him up. All right, boys, how you feeling?
Great.
Great. I'm still
Fantastic.
living on Kentucky's win high, so I'll probably
What
be
do we
living on
got?
that.
What do we got coming up in the next week? Any big games, matchups, showdowns?
Richmond's actually losing to Charlotte right now. Not very happy about that. But my dad, I got an update from him. Give you Richmond inside. They are terrible this year.
Ah,
So Patty, bet the under. Bet
Gotcha.
they only have one guy. His name is Delani Hunt. He had 27 out of their 80 last time. So I'll bet him and then everything else under.
Yeah, my pre-pod pick was Auburn minus 12.5 first half. They're up 13. They were up 24, and freaking Kent State's on a 10-0 run right now. So we'll see.
Major
Big
don't get
weekend
you.
of college basketball, big weekend of college football, big weekend of degenerate. This segment of Degenerative Gambling is brought to you by Mike Randier Jr. Hit him up for all degenerative gambling bets that you may have.
mm-hmm. All Patreon proceeds go to the craps table that Mike will. No, I'm just kidding.
Mike Randler, the
People,
gambler. Got to give it to him.
people
Mm-hmm.
forget that the 10-cent parlay podcast is in the next rotation. People forget that.
Mm-hmm.
I will speak it into existence.
Yep. All right. Well, again, we are Sports Fan Network, clashing conferences, rotating college. We're like a hot new boy band, guys. We're out here doing college things. This is what we do. Want to get back to hitting the books. Patty, you get the night off. You were 3 for 3 tonight, so good job. But
Sounds great.
hey, boys, have a good night. See you next week. Hit us up if you'd like to come join us. We'd love to have you. Let's keep expanding the brand. That's all I got, but I do got my buzzer. All right.
See you
Later.
later.
I'm literally going to give you the play-by-play on how you would participate in this podcast in less than 15 seconds. Here we go. You download an app. Our content producer, content manager sends you a link. You hit the link. You record, and usually within 30 seconds, unless you have COVID internet, you're done. That's it. You do nothing else. Steve does all the work. He stays up late at night. He does the editing. App, click it, hang up. The end. So,
That's
again,
it.
I understand people don't want to take on any more work than they need to. You're not. So just keep
There
that
is
in
no
mind.
work. This is fun time.
Yes.
Sometimes a little bit of extra
Fun
work,
time.
maybe if you want to be the host. But if
Big
you just
facts.
want to be a team rep, come in here and talk about your team as easily as you talk about it with any one of your friends or rivals.